From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Getting into the volunteer spirit.
It's important because it shows them how to help others.
How these lessons could turn into a lifetime of learning and helping in rural America. The ag trade deficit grows.
We have to be able to export.
A look at what is causing headwinds for trade overseas as another human case of avian flu is discovered. The latest on what we know right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the name on the cap matches the power of one's purpose. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. USDA's chief economist Seth Meyers says right now U.S. ag exports are struggling. The ag trade deficit now expected to grow to $32 billion. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, China has a lot to do with the changing ag export picture.
Yes, that's right. If USDA's projections stay on the current path, China will drop from its spot as the top exporter to number 3 behind Mexico and Canada. This is playing a large role in the record and widening trade deficit. However, some in industry say that the U.S. trade agenda and the lack of new markets is also a culprit.
USDA's latest U.S. trade forecast showing exports at just over $170 billion for 2024, down $8.2 billion, while imports are up $1.5 billion.
You're talking about a $7.1 billion increase in imports year over year and a $8.2 billion decline in exports.
This is widening the trade deficit as seen on this graphic from the Senate Ag Ranking Member's chief economist. The major contributing factor is China buying less from the U.S., especially corn.
I think the interesting headline story from this is China falls to our number 3 trading partner, and we're seeing a lot of competition with Brazil into that Chinese market, and that is what is driving our bulk export values.
However, U.S. soybean farmers have also seen declining market share to China.
We've gone from 40% of the soybean of their imports were coming from the United States, 30%, and now we're down just below 25%. And so I do think the trade war that we had with China, the overall tensions that exist there, that has taken a toll on their buying preferences.
Plus, ag groups, economists, and lawmakers point to the trade agenda in the last 2 administrations as a growing problem.
I view trade, at least with this administration, as a huge missed opportunity, and I think it is having an impact. If you look at the trade deficit and you look at the opportunities, we have to be able to export.
This comes as the U.S. slaps another $18 billion of non-ag tariffs on China. And while there hasn't been retaliation towards ag products, the overall trend has unintended consequences on U.S. ag exports. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Speaking of China, that nation is now blocking certain beef shipments from 2 U.S. facilities over traces of ractopamine. That's according to USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service. The affected facilities include the Swift Beef Company in Greeley, Colorado, and Coolport Oakland in Oakland, California. Now, according to FSIS, the decision started back on May 27th. The world's largest meat processor, JBS, says it's working with U.S. and Chinese authorities to resolve the issue. Ractopamine is a feed additive used to promote lean muscle growth in animals, but is currently banned in China. Now, keeping you updated on the developing situation involving the H5N1 outbreak in dairy cattle, health officials confirming yesterday another Michigan dairy worker has been diagnosed with avian flu, marking the 3rd human case associated with the outbreak. Michigan officials say the person developed respiratory symptoms, was quickly provided antivirals, and is recovering. Reuters is also reporting USDA is considering allowing dairy producers to bulk test milk for the virus. That would be instead of testing milk from individual cows before approving shipments. The idea follows a requirement from USDA in late April that lactating cows test negative for avian flu before being transported across state lines. Reuters says a pilot program for bulk testing could start next month, with officials in 6 states reviewing the plan. The International Dairy Foods Association supporting the initiative, stating it could help reduce the threat of H5N1 in dairy herds, protect farm workers, and secure the milk supply. Now, it comes after the number of cases in dairy herds continues to grow, with 67 reported still in 9 states. The FDA recently reporting 20% of the nation's dairy it sampled was positive for H5N1 particles, but that no live virus was found in any of the products. Now, USDA is continuing to say the nation's beef and dairy supplies are safe. Meanwhile, efforts are underway to start manufacturing vaccines to protect farm workers from the virus. It's reported the U.S., Canada, and European Union are all working to get a vaccine. The Financial Times says the U.S. government is nearing an agreement to fund a late-stage trial of Moderna's mRNA H5N1 vaccine. The countries have also been in talks with 2 other vaccine companies. USDA putting out new personal protective equipment regulations this week when it comes to the virus, saying people working with or around cattle that are suspected or confirmed positive should wear PPE, including such things as face shields, gloves, and N95 masks. The storminess continued across a midsection of the country on Thursday. Will those areas finally catch a break as we head into the weekend? Meteorologist Martin Lorimore joins us with an update.
Yeah, unfortunately, still seeing some of those storms. Luckily, not as intense over the next couple of days for the southern part of the Central Plains. You can see, again, handful of these severe risk across, again, places in Texas where they've already seen plenty of this severe weather. They're not going to see any more. Now, luckily, this is going to be much lower of a severe risk, but you could still see that possibility both Friday and your Saturday kind of just meandering in this area that, again, just does not want to see more of these severe storms. So as we go throughout the rest of this Friday, you see there's that cold front and kind of meanders its way across the southern plains, bringing some more of those storms across parts of central and parts of East Texas. Now, this will eventually make its way out of the areas we get into that Saturday afternoon. We could see those storms really lingering about, again, across parts of the central part of the country and southern areas. But again, moving its way out as we get into our Sunday, should start seeing a somewhat calming down situation over the next couple of days in the center part of the country, where that severe risk has still been there for a while. And of course, it's not the news many people in the storm-battered counties in Texas really want to hear, with officials saying it could be several days before the power is back on for everyone. At one point, more than 1 million customers in the state were without electricity following that wave of deadly storms that pushed through the central and southern U.S. over the Memorial Day weekend. But we know crews are, of course, working around the clock to try and get the power restored for everyone. We'll have more on that forecast coming up.
A former California water official has pleaded guilty to conspiring to steal water. 78-year-old Dennis Falachi, a former general manager of the Panoche Water District, entering the plea in federal court in Fresno. Falachi was accused in a case that claimed more than $25 million worth of water from a canal was stolen over 2 decades. But officials estimate he stole less than $3.5 million in water. Prosecutors alleging the water was siphoned from a federal irrigation canal through an old standpipe and sold to farmers in other water districts. Authorities saying in court documents, Falachi wasn't the only one taking the water, saying there were several people involved, and the full extent of the misconduct was not known to him. They add there was no evidence he directly benefited from the misconduct. So how much ethanol could qualify for the new pilot program for sustainable aviation fuel credits? Well, Reuters says very little. Under the program, ethanol producers wanting the credit must confirm their corn comes from farms using 3 climate-friendly farming practices, including no-till, planting of cover crops, and use of high-efficiency fertilizers. But Reuters says a review of USDA numbers shows almost no U.S. corn farmers use all 3 practices at the same time, meaning few, if any, ethanol makers would be able to meet the new standard. Now, the pilot program covers ethanol produced last year and this year and will be replaced by a new program next year that biofuel groups hope will be less restrictive. Well, there is very little to get excited about during Thursday's trade. We'll talk about markets and rebounds next. And later, serving a neighbor, see how these 4-H'ers from Tennessee are pitching in to help their communities in the country. It was a down day across the board on Thursday. Michelle Rook is back with a look at whether things can turn around to end the week in markets now.
Well, a down day Thursday in grains and cattle. Scott Barlick with Crema Barlick is back with us. Okay, Scott, let's talk about these grains. Is this topping action in that market?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I agree that this is looking like a little bit of topping action. Part of this last rally was funds exiting some shorts and wheat leading the charge. We've lost both of those. So we've got funds entering some short positions here. We've got the wheat rolling over. So the easy path now looks like these cranes want to take a little bit of a break here.
What about the cattle market? Down days on Wednesday and Thursday. Is this just end of month profit taking, or was there more to the story?
Maybe some end of the month, but I think more of this last break we've had was, okay, we had a cattle market that's very overbought. We're living on some really good news, really hot cash cattle news, really hot feeder calf prices. So those were good. And had the market overbought, maybe it's due for a correction. It just needed that little story to do it. And when China delisted Greeley, a U.S. plant, because of some, positive ractopamine tests, suddenly the market saw that, reacted lower, and that was just the excuse that you got to kick those algos in, and it decided to break pretty fast. So even the second day down, as well as we further that story saying, hey, China is looking, approving several plants in Australia, starting to turn their arrow in a different direction, and that just spooks us a little further. But I think that we recovered from the lows nicely as we got back to some of that previous, cash kind of news.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the futures at a big discount, how much do you think we can recover?
We're staying about where we need to be with some of the southern cash, and I think that's what's holding this market back a little bit, because you're seeing northern premiums are excellent over the southern cash, but you're scared to catch that June board up just because you could get dumped on with some deliveries. And the thing we're going to have to watch is the weights going ahead. 36 pounds over a year ago for steer carcasses, still a little bit of an issue there.
All right, thanks for joining us. Scott Varlick with Primo Varlick, and we'll have more AgDay coming up. Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rook on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.
Hey, welcome back. We're still looking at very warm temperatures over the next couple of days across parts of the southern U.S., where they're going to be seeing that heat dome developing its way into some parts of the country. And I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But you can still see a lot of these temperatures. Phoenix at 106 degrees, El Paso nearing 100, San Antonio as well, Brownsville. Nearly every day, the high has been getting close to 110 in Brownsville. And now we're also looking at parts of Florida, 95 in Miami. Those temperatures are very warm, even for this time of year, and that has been agging on that drought monitor that we've been watching pretty closely. Now, precipitation in the near forecast is looking good for places in Texas, where they're going to see several inches over the next couple of days, but still, parts of Florida not really seeing much, especially those areas in the center, but the center third of the country, not really seeing a whole lot of that rainfall. And again, out toward parts of western Kansas, where a lot of that winter wheat is being harvested, just not a lot really coming down over the next couple of days. That flooding potential will be there for your Friday across the center part of the country. Again, just places that don't want to see more of these rain and storms is unfortunately seeing more of that as we get into our Friday. Luckily, that flooding potential falls off as we head into our Saturday and Sunday, and really going down as we head into that Monday as well. So let's take a look at the jet stream. Again, you can see that big little trough and ridge system moving through right here. Now, as this continues, as we get into our Friday, we start seeing this dome of that heat really developing its way, moving its way northward as we get into that Monday and Tuesday. That will start bringing in some and I'm talking very warm weather, very hot weather across parts of the center part of the country and into parts of Four Corners in the Mojave Desert, where they're going to be seeing some very warm weather moving through as we get into that part of the year. So it's going to be something you have to watch out for as that heat dome begins to develop and again taking hold, making the western part of the country way above average. Could see triple-digit temperatures in any of those areas across the Four Corners, looking very warm weather ahead. Logansport, Indiana, high 78 degrees, looking pretty good, partly cloudy conditions. Catskill, Montana, a little bit chilly out there, low 40 degrees, under a frost advisory. And Holton, Maine, highs in the mid to upper 60s, mostly sunny skies.
USDA is looking for ideas and standards that it should measure when counting carbon credits. We'll have details next. And later, pitching in to help your community is a lesson these Tennessee 4-H'ers are learning to love. A new American-made high-speed planter line goes on sale next month. Vaderstad announcing its full line of Tempo high-speed planters. It includes the Tempo K model, which is a 24-row planter with low compaction tracks and 30-inch row spacing. In addition to corn and soybeans, the Tempo has precision placement for small seeded crops such as sugar beets and canola, even at high speeds up to 10 miles per hour. Now this spring, Tempo planters were active in the Midwest, planting corn and soybeans at farms in Iowa, Minnesota, North and South Dakota. The Tempo line is manufactured at the company's U.S. headquarters in Wahpeton, North Dakota. USDA continues to seek ways to improve and build a system for carbon markets. Its latest request is for standards that could be verified by a third party. Now, the agency asking for public input on this. It wants people to weigh in on what should be the standards or measurements included in a carbon program. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack saying this week, quote, a variety of barriers have hindered agriculture's participation in voluntary carbon markets, and we are seeking to change that by establishing a new greenhouse gas technical assistance provider and third-party verifier program. Now that goal is to share trusted information, reduce confusion, and list widely accepted standards that help ensure consistency, reliability, and transparency. Now, comments can be submitted for 30 days at regulations.gov. Head, Heart, Hands, and Health are the 4-H's in 4-H. Up next, how some Tennessee kids are using their hands for larger service to their community in the country. Tennessee 4-H'ers perform more than 100,000 hours of volunteer service in communities statewide each year. And the University of Tennessee's Charles Denny tells us about the lessons learned during 4-H that organizers hope will last a lifetime.
Bagging ordinary items, but very much a caring collection. And to a person in need, simple things are appreciated. Razors, soap, socks. Wilson County 4-H'ers spend the better part of the year gathering toiletries for a Lebanon men's home. Essie Sheehan believes all people, including her age group, can take on the responsibility of being active in your community.
It's important because it shows them how to help others.
We need more people in the world who are willing to give and help others.
It's that willingness to help that's central to 4-H programming. Grace Harville, a former 4-H'er herself, is now an agent and tries to give her youth as many service opportunities as she can find.
Yes, so 4-H is centered around leadership and service and citizenship, and I just feel like it's one of the key core components of the 4-H program. We're building 4-H'ers, but then we're also building citizens as well.
There are more than 152,000 4-H'ers in Tennessee, one of the largest enrollments in the nation. And just about every one of those young people is involved in multiple service projects throughout the year. Tennessee 4-H'ers performed more than 137,000 hours of service last year, with an estimated economic impact of $3.6 million. Honor Club 4-H'ers in Henderson County spend time at a local animal shelter. They help with the cleaning and also walk and play with the dogs and cats, giving them the attention they need.
And the dogs need socializing so they don't be mean or anything, and the cats also need socializing so they won't be lonely.
4-H leaders say if service becomes a habit for a young person, they'll likely continue to volunteer their time as they become adults.
4-H is mainly about, I think, volunteerism. In order to become a leader, you need to understand how you can help others first.
It's a big part of what they do as they become older in 4-H and start working towards service hours and service learning. And then as they become adults, they're probably going to join other organizations.
And that's where the impact keeps going. After the items are bagged, it's time to load up and deliver these thoughtful donations. But this will certainly not be the last collection effort here. The gathering and the giving go on with 4-H, Head, Heart, Hands, and Health, and maybe add a 5th H here, Help. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles, and that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.